You've watched any of my videos, and you will know they're all retro games. Today, however, is going to be an exception. It's a newer game, but it is a remake of a retro game that I recently covered last week. So if you only want to stick to retro games, click this link right here, and it'll take you back to the original game that I covered. Now, when it comes to remasters, I always respect any studio willing to take on this type of challenge. And I call it a challenge because not only do they have to attract a new audience, but they also have to stay true to the game's roots. Luckily for us, there was a game that I got to play, and from the first few minutes I saw it, it did look like a promising remaster. So it's time to relive this remaster and see if it's as good as the original. This is the Bard's Tale Trilogy. The Bard's Tale Trilogy was made in 2018 by InXile Entertainment. Woo. Wow, that felt really weird to say that because I usually say 1990 something. Anyways, I played this game for about 10 minutes for footage from my previous video, and in that short amount of time, I wanted to get a full experience of what they had to offer. And this was simply because the game looked so good. It had that old feel to it, but it still looked new. And when I saw that, it instantly grabbed my interest. So I do need to admit though that I only played the game for about 10 minutes at the time, so I have no idea if this game is any good or if they just slapped a fresh coat of paint onto an old game. And with that being said, let's boot this game up and see if we can save Scarabrae this time, because I sure as hell couldn't last time. The game starts out in the exact same tavern, and I salute the progressiveness of the game already. In the previous game, Sibrans and Beards were required to sit by the fire, but now anyone can. InXile, we salute your progressiveness, and you have earned your first sacred wafer. So I go to make some characters, and as soon as I started, it felt like I was playing the original with one major difference. They explained what the differences were with each class. This right here is exactly what I mean. For someone who's played the original, I have an idea of the differences between each class, but that doesn't mean everyone else will. This method that they did right here will kill two birds with one stone. It will give information to players that have never played this game before, and it will give someone like me information on the class that I might not have known. InXile, Sacred Wafer number 2. After we gather up our team, we go into the town, and let me tell you right now, the town design was done masterfully. They kept the original map, but added a few extras that appeal to both old and new players alike. The first thing that stuck out to me was in the original, when you would go to restore your magic points, you would need to go to Roscoe's Energy Emporium. And the problem was, it looked just like the other buildings in the game. In the remake, he gets this awesome tower. The second thing was the buildings were no longer just empty buildings that might have hidden monsters inside. They can now have items and even hints. In the previous game, you would go from house to house because you never knew if a building held something of importance, and you needed to do this just to draw out your map, which leads me to the third major change in this game. They added a map. InXile, you have earned 5 sacred wafers from this feature alone. No more graph paper, no more having to go online looking for maps. It's all right here. And here's the best part about the map. It isn't required. You can turn it off. So if you want the difficulty from the past, no problem. Here it is right here. Don't like the map? Boom. Push M and you're back to using that graph paper. But back to the main story. Usually in the game, we have to traverse the sewers to try and figure out the Mad God's name. But since I played the original a few days ago, I already know it. And what do you know? It works. So we journey through the catacombs to try and get that stupid eye again. We massacre the specter guarding the eye, and we're ready for the next castle. Now, right here is where I was curious how they were going to handle the teleporters in this game, since we now have access to a minimap. And what they did, earn them another sacred wafer. So in the previous game, when we would hit a square that would teleport us, you wouldn't have a point of reference, so you could easily get lost. Before I ran into these though, I figured that the minimap would defeat the purpose of these teleporters. However, InXile proved me wrong yet again with their creativity. So when you hit a teleporter, the minimap is then moved as well and puts this question mark on your location, so you no longer know if you're going north, east, south, or west, or where your current position is for that matter. So you have to cast a spell to orient yourself. Sacred Wafer awarded yet again. Good job InXile. But moving on. So we have this awesome mini-map, we have the eye, and we make our way into the next castle. Now there's an item in here that we needed for the last castle called the Silver Square. It wasn't hard to get, and I was starting to get a little hungry, and I was looking forward to fighting those berserkers again, so I could walk away and cook my dinner. InXile predicted I would do this. They wanted to keep the pacing of the game going and also wanted to starve me. Jerks. Look at the difference between the speed of killing these morons. They earn 10 sacred wafers for this one, but I'm keeping 9 of them because I'm hungry. So I killed the berserkers, used the eyes to wake up the mad god, kill him, and the fight was actually a little more action-packed. And then we get teleported again. Now in my last video, this is where I gave up because I walked away from the castle and the gate closed behind me. I tried to get back in, but couldn't because you need to get another eye to fight that mad god again. There's no way InXile would keep this obvious design flaw. No! Why? Why wouldn't you change this? Oh, give me those sacred Oh my god. I forgot to mention, they added a save state in this game. Alright, fine. Keep your damn sacred wafers, but you don't get any new ones because this flaw is still in the game. So we get inside the castle, and this castle was hard. So I found a way to do this cool little trick that you can only do in the remake, and we couldn't do it in the original. There are these squares that will shroud you in complete darkness. However, if you cast a spell while standing here, specifically Trap Zap, it will illuminate the screen momentarily so you can see where you're going. I don't know if they intended for this to happen, but they earned 5 wafers for it. I know I said I wasn't going to give many more, but this saved me a ton of time because this entire level is shrouded in darkness. We get an item that's required to beat the game in this castle called the Silver Triangle, and we also get the Onyx Key. Now we're ready for the last castle. Let's do this. Victory is within our grasp. So we travel through the sewers and make our way to the final castle. It's 5 levels and 3 of them which are absolute chaos. They are not playing around here. There was one level where all the walls turned into doors and all the doors turned into walls. And to top it all off, the enemy groups are huge. If I didn't have the sped up scrolling that InXile added, along with the proper spells to deal with groups this big, I would have never been able to finish this game. Once we figure out where to go though, these levels are kind of a breeze, but they did add this one spell that wasn't in the original game that I absolutely love. So in the previous game, if you were on the brink of death, there was one spell called a Port Arcane that would allow you to teleport to the entrance of the dungeon. However, there are parts of the game where you can't use this spell. InXile did us the favor of making a spell called Safety Spell. This will allow us to get out of any part of the dungeon and be teleported to the Adventurers Guild. To make it fair though, you lose all of your gold by doing this, so it doesn't make this feel like it's just cheating. We get to the final boss, and because I've enjoyed this game so much and I've been grinding like crazy, he's relatively easy, but they still made this fight a little challenging. I've now beaten a game that I've never beaten since I was a kid, and I owe it all to InXile making an amazing remaster. And to top it all off, as soon as you beat this game, you get to start the next game. InXile, you guys are awesome. Reliving this remaster is like watching an old movie and getting all the plot holes filled in and figuring out that you got the director's cut. They did an amazing job of blending the old game with a new look and adding small features in the game that made it so much more fun. Small things like adding distances in combat, showing if weapons or armor would increase or decrease your stats, pooled gold, and even being able to heal your entire party at the same time. While these features may seem like common sense, none of them were in the original game. InXile has proved to me that they respected the original game as well, because if you want to play the previous game just as it was, they have a legacy mode that is the exact same game with updated graphics. I respect them so much for this, and all the issues I have with this game were minor inconveniences at best. So I can confidently recommend this game to anyone who likes old or new games, just like I can recommend a good movie to anyone as well. InXile Entertainment, it was a pleasure to review this game, and contact me if you want to figure out what you can do with these sacred wafers. I just wanted to thank everyone for watching DWRelive reviews, and if there's a game you would like us to review, please leave it in the comments below. We'll be posting new videos about once a week, so like, subscribe, and click that notification button to get the latest in the series. I look forward to entertaining all of you in the future, and as we always say, relive those great moments one game at a time. Until next time,